We are back with a brand new video. What is good, Heat Nation? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the potential front court options for the Miami Heat to pair alongside Bam Adebayo. Now, we're not going to be talking about players that are not on the roster. We're going to be focusing on the players that we do have on the roster, because at least we know we are guaranteed to have those players for this upcoming season. So without further ado, leave a like, subscribe if you guys are new, please. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. You guys have been showing a lot of love on these past couple of videos. Actually, like since the offseason started, you guys have been killing it. So really appreciate that. Keep showing love. And yeah, like I said, we're not going to be touching on any potential trade pieces or free agency signings that we can go after. I've talked about Kevin Durant like 50 times on this channel already. John Collins I've talked about. Miles Turner I just made a video on. Harrison Barnes I'm pretty sure I've talked about. Obviously didn't talk about Jay Crowder because we've already had him. We know what he's going to bring to the team. So I'm not going to be focusing on these other power forward / center options that are available. I'm going to be talking about players that we have on the roster. I have 6 names that could be potential players to put alongside Bam Adebayo in the front court, and we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of each of these players. And you know, ultimately, obviously I cannot decide anything. I'm not the coach, I'm not Eric Spoelstra, but I do want you guys to tell me, out of these 6 names, which one of these 6 would you like to see start next to Bam Adebayo for this upcoming season if the Heat were not to make another move as far as adding to their front court in this free agency? Now, obviously, they can do stuff at the deadline, but I'm talking about right now. As the roster stands, who would you want to start next to Bam? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let's get right into it. First name we're going to start off with, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets. A lot of people might be like, whoa, Jimmy at the 4, he's a 3-2. Yes, I know he's not a 4 traditionally. He's never really played the 4 in his career. As far as, you know, being a full-time 4 for a team, never done that. I understand, but we don't really have too many options right now. And Jimmy makes some sort of sense because allowing him to play the 4 allows the team to have the most talent out there to start the game. And let me explain this. When you have Jimmy at the 4, it forces you to start either one of Tyler Hero or Victor Oladipo, because or even both of them for that matter, because when Jimmy goes to the 4, let's say Strus is still in the lineup, you're taking out PJ Tucker anyway because he's not going to be here next season. You have to replace the 3 or the 2, whether Strus plays the 2 or the 3. You have to replace the other position with a player, and obviously the most likely options are the 6th man of the year Hero or Oladipo. So 2 of the most talented players on the team right now, and 2 of the best players on the team right now. So that allows you to get the best players on the court first and foremost. You could even go with the lineup of Lowry, Hero, Oladipo, Jimmy, and Bam. That literally has your best 5 players all starting the game. Now, it leaves the bench a little weak, obviously, because you know you don't have the scoring punch like you did last year, but it allows you to start the game with your best 5 players. If you don't want to do that, if you want to, you know, kind of make the team fit better seamlessly and stuff, you could still have Strus or Duncan or whoever in the starting lineup and pair them alongside Vic or Tyler in that 2-3 spot. That is one of the biggest pros of having Jimmy at the 4. Not to mention, as far as Jimmy, the player himself, we all know he's a very good rebounder for his size. Obviously, he's a very good defender for his size, and definitely one of the best scorers in the NBA, even without a consistent 3-ball. He can definitely play the 4 position. It's not about him not playing the 4 position, but one of the biggest reasons why I'm hesitant for this is because I don't want him to wear himself out. We do want Jimmy to be his best version of himself in the playoffs. I think that's what we all want him to do. We don't want him to get exhausted and put too much toll on his body by, you know, playing against a lot of these 4s who are stronger than the players that he's used to guarding most of the game. He can guard 4s. I'm not saying he can't, but it's a lot harder when you change your position to play a power forward role than when you're playing a 3, especially on the defensive end, because you're guarding bigger, stronger players most of the time. You don't want to put a lot of, you know, weight on him, on his body, on his shoulders. We've seen over the past couple of years he's had ankle issues. You know, he sprained his ankle a couple times. You know, he had a leg injury in the playoffs. Like, you don't want to put too much toll on him. You don't want to put too much weight on him. You want him to be as healthy and as fresh as possible for the playoffs. So that is one reason why I'm a little bit hesitant for this. But obviously, Jimmy at the 4 is, you know, as a roster is presently constructed, is not a bad idea because we don't really have too many options. But like I said, those are some of the pros and cons there. Caleb Martin is the second guy we're going to be talking about. Caleb Martin just signed a nice contract. You know, shout out to Caleb, get your money. I thought that was a very good contract for Caleb. 3 years, 20 million. I think that's a really good deal for him. He deserved it. He was a really big rotational piece for us last season. He provides a very unique skill set for our team. He's a slasher. We don't really have too many slashers who can really get to the rim. He can dunk over anybody in this league. Like his athleticism is off the charts. He has a nice long wingspan, and what he does make up for in size and weight and height, he makes up for that with his length. He makes up for that with his athleticism. Makes up for that with his will. He's a hustle energy player. He's all hustle, all energy. When he's out there on the floor, he's going to give 100%. And sometimes he even tries to do a lot more than what he's capable of, which is fine. He just goes out there and just plays ultra hard. So I think Caleb Martin is an option. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a starter. I think the biggest thing that he would have to work on in order for us to use him as that starting power forward role next to Bam is the consistent three ball. I don't think he has developed that yet. He's obviously shown flashes of shooting the ball. He's had games where he's knocked down threes. I'm not saying he can't shoot. He can definitely shoot the ball, but he's not a shooter. He's not a guy who's a consistent knockdown threat. I wouldn't say that's his best skill. I would say that that's something that's still under development for me. I think that he has to still get that corner three as consistent as possible, and then you can talk about him kind of being one of these premier role players in the league. I think that's really what's stopping him. I think he has everything else. He's a above average rebounder. He can make plays out the post and the elbow, get to the rim, slash, dunk over people. He can obviously defend, I think, 1 through 4 pretty well. It's just the shot. I think he's capable of knocking it down, but it's just about fine-tuning a couple of things. You can see he has a little bit of a hitch when he shoots the ball. You just want to get that shot consistent. I think that's the only thing that's really stopping him from taking his game to the next level. But that is Caleb Martin in a nutshell. Third option is Hayden Highsmith. Now, Hayden Highsmith is a guy that we just signed to a 3-year contract as well, I think a couple of months ago. He was with the team last season, played Summer League basketball, looked really good in Summer League, actually. I was very impressed by him. One of my most impressive players for the Heat in Summer League, for sure. He's just a guy that I think could be a very seamless fit in the starting lineup. Now, I think the only con that I see to Hayden Highsmith is the fact that he's just very young and he hasn't really played too much NBA action yet. He's had a couple of games here and there where when we were, load managing guys or when guys were out, he stepped up. But those were like sporadic minutes. He didn't really play consistent minutes last season. It's going to be very tough for a guy like Hayden Highsmith. We're going to get to a couple of these guys as well who have not really played NBA minutes like that, to put them in, to thrust them in the role where they're starting power forwards on a championship contender. It's a big ask. And I don't know, obviously I don't want to put any pressure on him. I don't want to say he's not ready, but, I think Spo would rather go with experience than a guy who hasn't really played too much NBA basketball, which is why I don't know if this is going to happen. But his skill set is, I think, the perfect, skill set for someone playing next to Bam. I think he is a very good 3-and-D prospect. I'm not going to say he's one of the best 3-and-D players in the league because he hasn't shown that. In Summer League, though, he was one of the best 3-and-D players because you can just see his shot is very pure. He's very smooth. He can also defend multiple positions. He's 6'7", so he's a little bit bigger than Caleb, 220 pounds. I think he has the size. He obviously, I think, needs to bulk up a little bit, but as far as the height, the length, the wingspan, I think he has that to guard fours. He can definitely shoot the ball and defend. I think the only thing that's really a question mark for him is the fact that he hasn't really had NBA experience. Apart from that, I think if you're talking about pure fit and just forgetting talent by itself, Hayden Highsmith might be the best fit next to Bam on this team, out of the options that we currently have, because not only can he shoot the ball extremely well, he can also defend. And you guys might be calling me crazy in the comments, but I'm just talking about how people fit. Obviously, Jimmy is like 50 times better, but I'm just talking about, the skill set and how he would just seamlessly fit into the starting lineup. You wouldn't have to do anything different with his game. Like, you wouldn't have to make him play any differently. He's just used to shooting the ball, playing defense. It's a very simple role. But the thing is, like 3-and-D players are like at a premium right now in this league because they just fit so well and they're so valued on these championship teams that you can never have enough of them. And I think Hayden Highsmith, one of the reasons I'm optimistic about him is because although he's a very young, inexperienced player, I don't think it's gonna, I don't think he's gonna have too much pressure on himself, because he's not gonna be asked to do too much, because like I said, all he has to do is just catch and shoot and defend. That's literally all he has to do. He doesn't have to put the ball on the floor, doesn't have to play make, just catch and shoot and defend, and you will be solid. So he's an option for the Heat for sure. Another option is Omer Yurtseven. Now this is obviously not a power forward option. This is for him to play the center and move Bam to the 4. The only reason I put this guy on the list is because I've seen a lot of people talking about experimenting with the 2 big lineups with Bam and Yurt. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I don't like this. Now, obviously, Yurt is a very talented and skilled offensive player. I mean, this is a kid that put up 91 points in a FIBA game. Like, he has the skill offensively. The only problem is that his defense. I think the defense is a big issue, especially, when you're guarding a lot of these bigger centers. And even in the league today, a lot of the centers that you're going to see in the playoffs are very fast. A lot of these teams like to play small. Like the Celtics, Robert Williams and Al Horford, although there are 2 bigger bodies, Robert Williams is like a 6'9". He's like Bam's size, basically. So unless Omer Yurtseven can, get his foot speed up, if he can just get his foot speed up, if he can, develop more awareness on the defensive end, I just don't see how it'll work. Number 2, I just don't like the fact that he hasn't really taken any threes in the NBA yet. If you're gonna play with Bam, if you're gonna play next to Bam, unless you're a guy who's just gonna go out and score at an elite level, even if it's without a shot like Jimmy, you have to be able to shoot the 3 ball. And Omer Yurtseven, I know he's shown flashes in the summer league. I know he can shoot the ball, but he just has not shot it in the NBA yet. It's very different to summer league. I don't know if Spo's just gonna throw him in there and say, let him shoot 10 threes. Like, it's not gonna happen. I just don't see this as a realistic option. I'm just throwing it out there because people have been talking about it, but this is a guy who hasn't shown he can shoot at the NBA level and hasn't shown that he can defend at the NBA level, and you want to pair him alongside Bam at the center position. I just don't see it. If you want to go get a center who can shoot the ball and protect the rim, go get Miles Turner. Forget playing Omer Yurtseven. You don't want to put too much pressure on this kid to do too much that he's not used to doing. Like, I know he can shoot the ball, but again, we have not seen it at the NBA level. Defensively, a huge question mark. I would go out and get a Miles Turner, someone like that who can shoot the ball, protect the rim, and fit seamlessly next to Bam. I don't think Yurtseven is the perfect fit. I know a lot of people think so. I just don't really see it unless he shows me that he can develop a consistent 3 ball, as well as develop some consistent defense around the rim. He can definitely rebound the ball. He'll help with the rebounding for sure. I'm not going to take that away from him. He's had like 14 double-doubles in the last season, so he can rebound the ball. He can definitely score at the rim. Even a couple of those mid-range jump shots from him went in, but as far as shooting the 3 ball, have not seen it consistently, especially at the NBA level. And then protecting the rim or anything defensively is not shown. So I don't really see it, but if you guys do, like, make your case for it in the comment section below. Maybe you guys can change my mind. The last 2 options, I just don't see it all either. I think the first 3 are the more realistic options. The last 3 are kind of just more, options here and there that could happen, like, out of the blue, but we probably wouldn't expect. Nikola Jokic, I'm only throwing him on here because we just drafted him as a power forward. He is one of the most talented players on our roster. I'm not saying that lightly, because the talent that he has is special. He's a 6'11" guard. That's what he is. He's a lot of these guys who come into the league as like demigod type players. Like, I remember the same thing when the OKC Thunder drafted Pokusevski. It was literally like very similar. High upside, very raw. And that's what Nikola Jokic is. Although he can shoot the ball, which is translatable from day one, he does a lot more than just catch and shoot. And I think I was very frustrated with how the Heat used him in the California Classic. I just didn't like that, he was just being used as a spot-up shooter, because that's not his game. He can bring the ball up the floor. He can play make. He can set screens. He can roll. He can pop. He can basically do everything on the offensive end for you at 6'11". They basically just used him as a guy who's just going to pick and pop or pick and roll, which I didn't really like. He was playing off the ball a lot, but I think it was just trying to get him used to playing off the ball because they know he could play on the ball. So maybe that was the reason, but I don't think we were able to see the full, offensive talent of Nikola Jokic in Summer League. Now, combining that with the fact that he was out with an injury for the last, I think, 4 or 5 games of Summer League, we didn't really get to see much of him. I think we saw one glimpse of one game of really good glimpses and flashes where he had like 25, but we didn't really see the full package. And I think that for Nikola Jokic, I just don't know if the Heat are just gonna throw him in. You know, he's like I said, he's a very raw prospect. I would actually throw Hayden Smith in before Jokic, even though Highsmith was undrafted. He knows the system because he's been here already for I think last season. And then not only that, I know his skill set is not as talented and, you know, profound as Jovic's, but it doesn't have to be. You know, all he has to do is shoot and defend, and he does both of them at an elite level. And as much as Jokic is talented offensively, his defense basically negates all of that because he's one of the worst defenders in the draft class. And he has to polish up his defensive game for sure. He's definitely a talent. You know, he's definitely a guy that can blossom into a very good player in this league, but I just don't think he's ready yet. So I wouldn't throw him in. I would not put the pressure on this kid because I know if he's playing with Jimmy, Bam, Kyle, let's say Tyler starts as well, he's not going to have the ball in his hands. He's not going to be able to do what he's best at. So just don't force anything. I'd rather play the guys who've been here. But yeah, he's another option. The last option is Darius Days. Now, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I don't really see this happening, but I'm just, you know, putting this out there because he was signed to a guaranteed contract, if I'm not mistaken, very recently. If you want to check out my video I made about Darius Days, it's like a 15-minute video. I literally talked about Darius Days for like 10 minutes in that video. So if you want to see everything I wanted to share about Darius Days, go click on that video. It'll be in the description. But that's where I expanded about Darius Days more. I'll keep it very concise here. I don't think he's ready, but, you know, if you want to throw him out there, his skill set is a lot more, you know, translatable in my opinion than Nikola Jokic, because like I said, he's kind of in the Highsmith mode where he's not the most talented, but he fits the starting lineup very well because he doesn't need the ball in his hands. And I don't think it's gonna happen, but I wouldn't be, you know, I'm not gonna question the coaching staff obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if they throw out a curveball like this. You know that he always find one of these undrafted players and just turns him into a stud. They did that with Duncan and K-Nunn. I don't think anyone expected Duncan and K-Nunn to not only start the season with the Heat in the starting lineup, but also play like huge factors in them reaching the finals. I know they had really good summer leagues and stuff like that, G League performances, but like that had to come out of the blue. So again, I'm not saying Darius Days is going to be the savior. I'm just saying that I wouldn't put it past the Heat to have found another gem here, because from everything that I've seen at LSU, he's a very solid player. He was killing it for the Spurs. But yeah, again, I think experience and the fact that I just don't see the Heat just throwing a kid like this into the starting lineup when they have a couple options that I think that are better at their disposal. So yeah, those are the 6 options at the end of the day. Again, 3 of those are more realistic, 3 of those are kind of less realistic. Let me know what you guys would like the most out of these 6 options. If you guys have another option you want to throw in, you know, put that in the comment section below. It's going to be intriguing to see what they do if they wait until the deadline to find a 4, or if they find a 4 right now by flipping Duncan. I think everything is on hold until the Kevin Durant and Mitchell situation is done. So we'll be waiting for a while. But yeah, stay tuned, man. Next video will be coming out very soon. And yeah, I'll see y'all later as always. Have a nice day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.